LBC Radio presenter Nick Ferrari had a fiery moment on air during a heated exchange with Andrew Neilson of the Howard League, an organization advocating for penal reform. The confrontation occurred as Ferrari questioned Neilson about the use of pepper spray in young offenders' institutions. Ferrari, growing increasingly frustrated, repeatedly asked Neilson the same question 5 times, eventually losing his temper live on air. The incident began when Ferrari asked Neilson, "What's the problem with using pepper spray if a murderer is coming at you with a sharpened tray?" Neilson tried to answer, stating that framing the question in that way wasn't correct, as most children in prisons aren't murderers. Ferrari immediately interrupted, insisting, respectfully, "I'll frame the question how I like," before reiterating his query. "If you're a prison officer and you're in fear of your life because a prisoner in his teens is coming at you with a weapon, why can't you have a pepper spray?" Neilson's response focused on the fact that most young offenders are not murderers. However, Ferrari was adamant, stating, "No, not murderers, but nearly 70% of them are there for violent offenses, attempted murder, or GBH." He continued to press Neilson with the same question, demanding answers about how a prison officer should respond if faced with a weapon-wielding teenager. Neilson proposed physical restraint techniques as an alternative to using pepper spray. Ferrari, however, sharply rejected this, responding, "Well, I'm not surprised if 70% of them are murderers and attempted murderers and GBH." Ferrari then repeated his question, adding the hypothetical scenario that the prison officer had no colleagues to assist. At this point, Neilson turned the question back on Ferrari, asking why pepper spray should be introduced into children's prisons. Ferrari's response was straightforward: to save the prison officer's life. However, when Neilson attempted to shift the conversation away from the topic, Ferrari lost his patience. "No, you asked me a question, I've answered you in a sentence, so why don't you answer mine?" he snapped. Ferrari, clearly exasperated, added, for the 5th time of asking. Someone is coming at you with a weapon. He's a 15-year-old murderer, why can't that officer have a pepper spray?" Neilson again tried to emphasize restraint techniques, but Ferrari cut him off, stating, "No, there's no one else there. No, you're not going to answer. Honestly, I think I've had enough." The tense exchange highlighted Ferrari's frustration with what he perceived as evasion and his insistence on the need for pepper spray in extreme situations to protect prison officers.